There's a point in a man's life when he can feel something change in her. The vibe isn't the same anymore. Her messages feel cold. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Even when she laughs, you can tell her heart isn't in it. And suddenly, you're left staring at your phone, replaying conversations, searching your memory for clues. Keep watching because I'm about to expose the subtle habits that make a woman disconnect emotionally and reveal how stepping back into your calm strength can reignite her interest. You keep wondering what shifted, what you did, what you missed. You think back to every moment, every joke, every argument, trying to find the exact second she started drifting away. But deep down, the answer isn't hidden. It's right there, simple, quiet, and painful. She's slipping out of your hands because of one thing you keep doing, the one thing that suffocates attraction without making a sound. Welcome to Become Stoic. To our loyal subscribers, you are the heart of this brotherhood. If you're new, like, share, and subscribe. We dive into human nature and the psychology of female attraction. Let's begin. 1. You've been running after her energy instead of guarding your own. Somewhere along the line, her approval started to matter more to you than your own sense of calm. In the beginning, you were steady, centered, intentional, sure of who you were. You had your routines, your ambitions, your direction. That quiet strength is what pulled her toward you. She saw a man who stood solid on his own feet, not someone who needed her attention to feel whole. But over time, something shifted. You began analyzing every text. You picked up your phone like your heartbeat depended on her response. You started focusing more on how she felt about you than on how you felt about yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, your mind is your only true possession. When you forget that, you drift away from your core. You stop being the man who leads with clarity and start acting like someone who's waiting to be chosen. And the moment you trade your inner steadiness for her reaction, she feels it. Not in words, but in the energy. The intrigue fades, and so does the attraction. Second, you lost sight of something simple but powerful. A steady man is far more attractive than a man trying to persuade her to stay. Most men panic the moment they sense a woman drifting. They respond with extra calls, long messages, and desperate attempts to fix what they think is breaking. But the Stoics understood a different truth. Real strength shows in self-control, not in scrambling for reassurance. Epictetus reminded us, nothing meaningful comes together in an instant. Connection doesn't grow when you push. It grows when you remain patient, when your actions stay consistent, when your energy stays calm. But the moment you try to talk her into staying, what she sees isn't confidence, it's fear. Yet when you stand your ground, when you choose stillness over panic, when your purpose remains your anchor, something shifts inside her. She starts wondering why you're not shaken, why you're not chasing, why you're not falling apart. That quiet, unforced confidence does more than any long speech ever could. It draws her back with a force she can feel but can't explain. Third, you let go of your depth, and with it, your mystery. And whether men like to admit it or not, mystery is magnetic. Not the manipulative type, but the natural intrigue that comes from a man who doesn't spill everything about himself all at once. At the beginning, you had that. You had layers. Your silence carried meaning. Your decisions carried intention. She felt there was more to you than what she could immediately see. But slowly you started giving too much. You explained every thought. You revealed every feeling. You tried to prove your worth instead of letting it show on its own. Seneca warned, when you try to be everywhere, you end up being nowhere. And that's exactly what happens when a man becomes too emotionally accessible, too physically present, too mentally exposed. When she can easily predict you, she stops wondering about you. And once curiosity disappears, attraction begins to slip away. A Stoic man doesn't rush to reveal himself. He doesn't overtalk or overjustify. He lets his presence carry its own weight. He creates quiet tension, a steady pull that makes people lean in without him demanding their attention. That kind of gravity can't be faked. And it's exactly what she was drawn to in the first place. Fourth, you stopped guiding the connection and started responding to every emotional shift she made. And here's the uncomfortable truth most men avoid. You can't lead when you're driven by impulse. When she withdraws, when her tone changes, when she seems distant or cold, that isn't the moment to chase after her or mirror her panic. That is the moment to show the strength of your composure. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that a man doesn't win by controlling the world. He wins by mastering himself. And that's the heart of it. The second you control your reaction, you automatically take back the power you thought you lost. Real leadership in a relationship has nothing to do with control or force. It comes from emotional steadiness. It comes from understanding that her mood swings don't define your identity, and her temporary withdrawal doesn't shrink your value. When you remain calm in the middle of emotional storms, she feels something every woman craves: safety. She feels like she can trust your presence. She feels like you can handle life without falling apart. But when you crumble, when you let fear guide your response, when you react instead of lead, she starts to feel unprotected. And once she senses that instability, trust slips out of her hands. A man who holds his center during chaos doesn't just earn respect. He becomes the anchor she didn't know she needed. Fifth, you started mistaking control for love, and that's where everything began to unravel. A lot of men don't realize this. Sometimes the thing you call love is actually fear wearing a mask. Fear of losing her. Fear that you're not measuring up. Fear that if you don't do more, give more, say more, she'll slip away. So you overextend yourself. You pour out too much. You overwhelm the connection with effort instead of presence. You talk endlessly, you explain everything, you try to fill every silence. Not because you're secure, but because you're anxious. But true love, the kind grounded in inner strength, not desperation, isn't built on possession. It's built on stability. Stoic love doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means being emotionally independent enough to love deeply without disappearing inside the relationship. Epictetus gave a powerful reminder: when you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, "They may not be here tomorrow." He wasn't being dark, he was teaching acceptance. He meant, treasure deeply but don't cling. Love wholeheartedly but don't lose your identity in the process. Because the harder you try to control someone, even with good intentions, the more they feel the need to escape. But when you allow them space, when you stand steady and grounded in your own power, they gravitate back toward you on their own terms. She isn't losing interest because you lack worth. She's pulling away because your fear is suffocating the connection, and she's craving a love that breathes. She's slipping away because you drifted from the very things that once made you magnetic. Your peace, your presence, your purpose. That was your strength, the quiet force she felt the moment she met you. But somewhere along the way, you abandoned those pillars to chase reassurance from her instead of stability within yourself. When you stop running after her energy and start protecting your own, something shifts, not just inside you but in the way she sees you. Suddenly, your distance isn't punishment. It becomes a kind of gravity, a pull she can feel even when you say nothing. You transform from the man scrambling for her attention into the man who attracts it naturally. You stop trying to convince her of your worth because you're too busy living it. You stop over-explaining because your actions speak louder than anything you could say. When you return to your stillness, you return to your power. And she feels that change immediately. She starts questioning why you're no longer shaken, why you're not bending, why you're not clinging. That curiosity becomes attraction, stronger, deeper, more real. This is how you draw her back. Not through pursuit, not through pressure, not through proving yourself, but by becoming the kind of man whose presence carries weight, the man she can't overlook, can't replace, and can't forget. That's the enduring, unshakable strength of a Stoic man. If this video helped, like and subscribe, share it with a man who needs to hear it. Respect yourself, protect yourself. God bless.